What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video here. So recently, Cenk Uygur went on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and he absolutely destroyed a Republican panel. In this case, specifically on the issue of Ukraine, where the Republicans were claiming that Trump is playing Putin like a fiddle. I mean, it's literally insane. These people will find anything to spin at any point. It does not matter the fact. I mean, it's literally insane. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Putin is the one playing Trump. Trump basically voting against the United States and Ukraine at the UN, and somehow Trump is playing Putin. Okay, that's just insane. And Cenk just absolutely goes off on this point, and he actually exposes the real reason that Trump is doing a quote unquote so-called minerals deal with Ukraine. Okay, not because the American people deserve minerals, even though we were been aiding them for months. That's what the Republicans say. Oh, we should be getting some sort of something in return because we're giving them money for months. Basically, they want a colonial state in Ukraine, which gets the Americans even more entrenched in Ukraine. But no, apparently the so-called isolationists want to be in Ukraine for forever, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling the logic of some of these people. But Cenk Uygur absolutely goes off, and he exposes the actual reason why the Republicans, or in this case, the Musk people, which will be interesting, we'll get to in a second, why do they actually want minerals, specifically lithium in this case? Why would the Trump administration specifically want lithium in Ukraine? Why is that? I'm going to show you the clip and tell you why. This is what Cenk said, and he absolutely goes off on this. And by the way, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. The algorithm's kind of been screwing us recently, so it helps out immensely when you do that. And if you want to support the channel in any way, my Patreon link is also in the description. But here's the clip of Cenk going off, and we'll talk about it after. Here's the first clip, guys.
Because you have been such a stalwart defender of the Ukraine, and yet you are 100% correct. Donald Trump hates war. He thinks it's totally wasteful. He thinks it's bad for business, and he wants this to end. You know, from the point of view of the American people, there has never been widespread support for this. The American people have never understood why this is our job to fund this. And I think Donald Trump expected when he came into office to find Zelensky the one eager to have this settled, and Putin the one sort of holding off and being recalcitrant. And when he found the opposite, and when he found Zelensky totally unwilling to do the most basic act of gratitude and give the United States a stake in these minerals, I think Trump got very angry about that. Now, I want to address something that I think I agree with people. It seems a little mysterious. I hear people saying this all the time. Why is he, demeaning Zelensky and building up Putin? I think the answer to that is because Donald Trump is a deal maker, and he does not view international relations the way that the liberal post-world order saw things. You know, the Obama administration, the Biden administration, they have this view of diplomacy that you need to sort of have two equals at the table, or as equal as possible. And so if your ally is the one who is stronger, you got to bring them down a little. If the person that you're not dealing with is weak, you lift them up a little. You get people to an even playing field, and then you can make a deal. And I think Donald Trump sees things in the exact opposite way. He sees them from a real estate point of view. You're never going to get a deal if both sides have equal power. What you actually want is a power disparity, because then the weaker party has more of an incentive to compromise. And the stronger party is going to compromise as well, because they get to remain the stronger party. And I think he is playing Putin like a fiddle. He knows that if he goes out there and builds up Zelensky and makes Putin feel the exact same fears about NATO not being that buffer zone, and Ukraine not being a buffer zone, Ukraine being part of NATO, Putin will never come to the table. But if he says to Putin, I respect where you're coming from, I don't care about the history, I just want this to end, then that is what's going to get Putin to the table. And I think he assumed that because Ukraine has gotten $200 billion out of the American taxpayer, that they would be willing to come to the table too. And I think he's very upset that Zelensky has not turned out to be that way.
Okay, Cenk, you were laughing, but I mean, that could be entirely accurate.
No, there's no chance that's accurate. Sorry about that. Okay, so look, at the beginning, this was a giant mystery. I didn't understand what was going on. I might have said this on your show, Piers. I was like, why would we be attacking our ally? Put aside the fact that they're our ally. It doesn't make any sense in negotiation. You want to put leverage on the opposing party, Russia, so that they're willing to get to a deal that we can live with and our ally can live with. Putting pressure on your own ally who's in the weaker position makes no logical sense in a negotiation ever. It's the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. So putting aside any feelings about Zelensky and Russia, this isn't about that. Just in sheer negotiation, it makes no sense. Okay, but now I've solved it, because it's clear now what's happening. Because they want the mineral rights. So he's putting pressure on Zelensky because he doesn't give a damn about what kind of deal Russia and Ukraine strike and how much land one keeps or the other. Do you know what's in the mineral? We keep calling it mineral rights. Titanium and lithium. Oh, who needs lithium? Oh, right, Tesla has lithium go in its batteries. Elon wants that lithium. So the deal that our Treasury Secretary pushed across the table to Zelensky when they were one-on-one and tried to bully him into signing was, we spent 100 or 200 billion dollars in Ukraine. There's conflicting numbers, but look, we all want peace. We all want to stop spending that money. That's legitimate. The negotiations are perfectly legitimate. The drive for peace, perfectly legitimate. He pushes across a deal for $500 billion in mineral rights. And here's the most important thing that American voters have to understand. Those minerals do not go to us, the American taxpayers, the American citizens. They go to American corporations. We are going to get $0 out of that. But Elon Musk is going to get fabulously even richer. He wants that lithium, and he doesn't care about Russia or Ukraine. So this is a robbery now. And that's why they're pressuring Zelensky instead of Putin.
Okay.
And he's right, guys. It's an absolute robbery. I mean, again, it's a literal colonialism in the 21st century, what the United States is trying to do here, or more specifically, what Trump is trying to do here. Again, the idea that he's playing him like a fiddle is so childish, and it's just ultimate bootlicking. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's ultimate bootlicking. Anyone who's objective can be pretty clearly tell you what's happening there. And also, she makes a number of claims that are just completely untrue. I mean, she makes the claim that the American people were not supportive of Ukraine at any point. That's literally not true. If you look at polling, it's 85% of people in the beginning of the war supported Ukraine. That's not true at all. 90% maybe. And even now, it's a near majority I think it is a majority of people still that support Ukraine, certainly against Russia. So that is a complete BS claim that she made there. And again, the idea that Zelensky is unwilling to give Trump minerals, just random requests out of the blue, and basically ensuring that Ukraine becomes a colonial state. Yeah, I'm not really that surprised that the leader of Ukraine wouldn't be so willing to do that. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling that people could somehow defend this sort of logic here. And again, it's just hypocrisy on an insane level. I mean, the so-called isolationists, quote unquote, America First people who support a mineral deal like this, it basically entrenches the Americans inside of Eastern Europe for years to come. Because again, our interest in the mining of these minerals is going to be there for years to come, which makes us even more concerned about potential Russian aggression in the region. So again, it's not that Trump is playing Putin like a fiddle. It's Putin playing Trump like a fiddle. And again, it's literally all projection that they do. It's literally insane and it's insufferable at some point, because does she really think that? I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to make that kind of point is crazy. And again, the idea that we're attacking our own ally for some sort of negotiation tactic. How is attacking Zelensky helping the US position or the Ukrainian position in a debate or a negotiation with Russia? It doesn't, guys, okay? I mean, it's absolutely wild that this argument is being made by people. It's very obvious what the actual scenario is here. Trump is catering to Putin in the hopes of some sort of agreement. He could care less about Ukraine. I think that's pretty obvious. And frankly, I don't think he cares about Europe. I think he's willing to make an alliance with Russians I don't know. He has never, ever criticized Putin ever. He has called Zelensky a dictator, but not Putin. That should tell you all you need to know. His love for autocrats has been pretty well documented over the years. And it's not a coincidence, guys, that he doesn't say anything bad about Putin. I'm not sure how any objective person following this could disagree. Okay, it's absolute nonsense. And then Cenk makes the key point. And guys, this is really what it comes down to. Why do they want the minerals specifically? It seems pretty weird that Trump would just come up with an idea. Oh, you know what? I want minerals from Ukraine. It's kind of weird. I mean, where do you think he got that from? Oh, maybe from Elon Musk, who's also super anti-Ukraine now, even though 2-3 years ago he was very, very supportive of the Ukrainian cause. But now he calls Zelensky a dictator, is saying all the Trump talking points on the issue. But why is he, maybe, just maybe what Cenk is saying is correct. Elon Musk said to Trump, oh my gosh, they have a lithium there inside of Ukraine. We should get that. And Trump says, oh, yeah, okay, Mr. President Musk, okay. And he does that. And what Cenk says is absolutely true. The idea that this is going to be some sort of reward to the American taxpayer is utter BS. That is not true at all. Anyone following who has a clue about basic economics or foreign policy knows it's ridiculous. It's going to go to American corporations, or more specifically, EV companies like Tesla, who will be getting these subsidies. And it's just so wild to me. It's open corruption, and it's literally insane. I mean, you're basically holding a U.S. ally hostage in order to pursue some sort of economic goal, which is what Elon Musk is trying to do. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, okay? I mean, moving on from that, I mean, we got another clip here where Cenk basically goes off. There's a debate between Joe Walsh and Dave Smith on the issue of NATO. You know, Dave Smith's one of those people. NATO's terrible, blah, blah, blah. NATO's super bad. Joe Walsh is the other side. NATO's amazing. It can do nothing wrong. And Cenk basically says, you're kind of both wrong. I mean, Joe, you're more right, but it's very complicated. But I thought Cenk does a really good job articulating his points. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it after.
No, you can't say that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I don't agree with that.
All
I don't
right,
believe that NATO has been a
That's
force for
fine.
good. I
That's
believe
fine.
it's the exact type. It's
Okay,
the exact type of entangling
they're both
alliance
wrong.
that our founders were unanimous in recommending that we don't get involved in. And Cenk, you can say I'm wrong, but dude, you're as anti-war as I am. So why are you standing up for the European
Let me tell
wing
you
of
why.
the American empire?
Hold on.
You know
I'm
what
not-
this is,
hold on.
Cenk.
Dave, he's saying we're both.
No, hold on. So listen.
I know.
You're both wrong and you're both right. So listen. I love, first of all, just quick side note here, that nobody can tell who's left or right anymore. This is
Do you know
beautiful
what?
American
That's
politics.
exactly what I
Okay,
was
now-
thinking. The whole political pendulum
Right.
has completely gone crazy. Where if we had this debate 20 years ago, everyone would have known who the right are and who the left are. It is impossible anymore to define people in the way that we used to, and I like that.
I love it. I love it because we're now using our minds and independent judgment and actually talking about policy rather than strict ideology on either side. So now, look, I agree with Joe. The UN is very important. I know I'm a lone voice here these days in American media, but I 100% believe in the world working together. I think NATO is very important. I'm very supportive of NATO, and I think it has definitely been a force for good and has protected the alliance. Having said that, Dave is right. Just because you like NATO doesn't mean that NATO has to get closer and closer to Russia. I mean, Joe, you were saying that if you like NATO, then you should be for NATO expansion. How about if NATO said, okay, we'd like to expand into Chechnya in the middle of Russia? That's mental. That doesn't help the alliance. It hurts the alliance. It makes our job of defending both Europe and America harder, not easier. If we go and randomly put Taiwan in NATO, that makes no sense. So we've got to be judicious about who we put into NATO. And then now when we get back to, okay, NATO and America and Russia, the opposite side, have to get to an agreement, and that's good. We're all going to save money. We're all going to get to peace. We're going to save lives. We have to get to an agreement. But back to the negotiation, if two companies are having trouble getting to an agreement and they bring me in as a mediator, and then instead of helping them get to an agreement, I go, now I want money for my company. Well, that doesn't help the negotiations at all. It makes the mediation and the negotiation much more difficult because now you've entered a third party in there that had no business there, and he's demanding like some outrageous number, and then he starts attacking the people who brought him into the negotiation. Just so, look.
Okay, and again, it's like it's not so black and white as they portray it, but the idea that we're going to allow Taiwan into NATO, it kind of destroys Joe Walsh's point that we should allow everyone into NATO that we want. It's kind of stupid. I mean, it makes no sense. We're going to allow Taiwan into NATO because if China does everything, then it's literal World War III. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. But the idea that Dave Smith says NATO's done all terrible things is also just a dumb, very narrow point that he's trying to make, and it's just ridiculous, okay? NATO has in the past, let's be honest. I mean, if it weren't for NATO, the Russians would have been in the Baltics already. There's no question about that. They would have been into Poland already. There's no question about that. And again, the idea that Russia invaded Ukraine purely because of NATO encroachment, it's just not accurate. I'm not saying it didn't play a role in it, but if you listen to Putin's speech the night of the invasion, he made it pretty clear what his ambitions were. He talked about restoring the Soviet Union to its former glory. This is not some radical take that is some Washington take. It's not. He literally said it. Listen to the speech he gave that night. Okay. So again, Cenk just does a really good job here, just articulating it out. And listen, credit to Cenk. You know, people have been criticizing him recently for making a so-called turn to the right or whitewashing a lot of the stuff Trump has done. But you got to say, in the last week or two, he has definitely come around and started hammering the Trump administration. So it's good to see that he's finally waking up. But pretty wild stuff. I thought Cenk had a really good performance here on Piers Morgan. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Agree or disagree. And yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.